It's Podular. Welcome back, guys. It is Thursday, June the 5th. This is episode 33. We are getting ready to go back to our nation's capital for a one-night stand with STS9 this week. Joining me to prepare everybody for this wonderful weekend ahead of us is my co-host, Nate. Nate, how's it going, brother?
Going good, Scotty. Let's get a little bit ahead of June 5th. It's June 12th. We got STS9 Day coming up sooner than that. June 14th coming up here at the Anthem band making their debut at a new venue. So super pumped to dive into the time capsule of STS9 for you. Before we go any further, let's fully dive in to that clip that we just started with. What do you say? Let's do that. Let's get it popping right off the bat.
Oh, Saxton.
Yeah. Dear God, Saxton. Scotty, where were you during the debut of HP Walks to School Modular? My
I
God.
was in Colorado. I
Yeah.
was in Colorado. I was streaming it though,
Hmm.
and I didn't have as many like real geeks of friends for STS9 like I do now, but I had a few. And I called Mills Rogers. Shout out Mills. He listens to most of these episodes. I called Mills, and his roommate at the time, Adam, picked up the phone. And I was like, Adam, where the fuck is Mills? Why are you answering his phone? He was like, he's in the bathroom. He's pooping. I was like, go get him. I don't care. So he knocks on the door and he's like, it's Scotty. He's like, put him on speakerphone. I was like, they're playing HB Walks. They're playing HB Walks. I was losing my fucking mind, dude. I was so excited. I just needed to share that moment with anyone else. Um, and I'll never forget having the thought in that moment, man, we didn't think this band was going to exist a matter of a couple of years before. Kind of one of those moments that I feel like a lot of people had in those first few years after Alana joined, where you go back to the time where Murph left and there was so much question and fuck, are we ever going to hear live STS9 music again? And then you get an HB Walks to School a matter of a couple of years later. And I remember that night, even though I wasn't there, just being so happy for where we were as a fan base.
Definitely one of those everything's gonna be all right moments, as
Yes.
if
Where were
we
you?
didn't know at that point yet. I was in Chicago, about to head to a twiddle show. I
We
know.
we can we can
And we're
cut
being
that if you
honest
want.
here.
We can
We're
cut
being
it.
honest here. We're being honest here. It's all that was going on in Chicago on Halloween that night, and streaming the show as well, and wondering like, like 2 3 minutes into that, like what is going on here? And then you
Yeah.
hear the dun 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 dun, dun, and it was like, holy shit, no way, no
Yeah,
way.
you
Um,
it's the same thing that I would imagine we all did. I mean, I was right next to you for the other one, but when that song has such lore behind it and it's so
mhm.
rare, but it's not one of those songs you forget what it sounds like, right? You know that.
No,
But
yeah,
even still, you hear it and the first lick, you're like, "Fuck is this?" And you
yeah.
hear it again and you're like, "No, no, 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 no. It's not that. It's got to be something else, right?"
Yeah. Um, little did people know this was only about a 3 year bust out, not even a 2.5 year bust out. They had played it at Mayan Holidays on Sunday, January 29th, 2012. Crazy to think it had only been 3 years, but I think people really go back to the '07 one of the Interplanetary Escape Vehicle show at the Tabernacle. Um, Scotty, this is my favorite one. I know
Okay.
it's not it doesn't have the ending. And I think someday we'll get the da na 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 da 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 ending
Mhm.
back, and then just like the hunter like da na 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 na
Sure.
na na na, or the really fast hunter the ding 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 ding
Yeah.
ding 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 ding.
His
We
his
know he
best
can
Trey
do it.
impression. Hmm.
But this one gets me going more than any other live version. Just the combination of all the things, them coming out with like the like light beams on like their headsets or
Yeah.
whatever, and just how it opened, and the Saxon light show, of course. This was arguably him in his prime, fall 2015 Saxon. And to open up this show, which is a hell of a way to open up the Washington D.C. STS9 time capsule for this all good pre-show preview. Let's go down the set list of this show, and it's a good reminder if you're looking for a show to listen to get ready for these shows this weekend. This would be at the top of the list. So you get the HB Walks to School modular opener, ABCs, Poseidon, Possibilities, You're It, into Hidden Hand, Hidden Fist. And at this point, Scotty, I think we're running down the first letter of all of the songs, and people are finally starting to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
What was going on? They're spelling out something with the set list. So You're It, into Hidden Hand, Hidden Fist, Arigato, Life, Sweet Breath, Love, Don't Terrorize. At this point, I think we know they're spelling Happy Halloween. But they go on to do even more crazy shit than that. One a day, when the dust settles, Ebe, evasive into Nunu, dance. That's where it was like, what? Okay. Click Clang Echo. Okay, it's DC. And then they hit you with the encore with kind of like a sign off of that. Just thanks, STS9. We can make the world go round, right?
Yeah.
Artistry.
Maybe the most unnecessary world go round ever played.
I like it. I like to send it out with like the we can make the world go round. If we can do that shit, we can fucking
Sure.
do anything. Right.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
okay, yeah, we'll take it. But
Yeah.
so many highlights from this show. We got so much awesome STS time that has happened in this city. You think of not just proper DC with all the 930 Club shows from the middle 2000s going into the Alana years. Her first DC show was actually at the 930 Club in 2014. But these Silver Springs shows, when they open up the Fillmore there, that's right outside of DC. You got Falls Church. So the band's first return in the, I guess, official 3.0 era post COVID back to Washington, D.C. And that's something that people should be pretty pumped about. But
Yeah.
um, with
I was,
these,
I was, yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was just one more thought about DC for those that are on the fence about going. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm considering doing the 1 day turnaround thing." Um, I had DC a bit fucked up before this episode.
Yeah, you
What I
did.
mean, what I mean by that is I had I'd forgotten that Silver Springs and Falls Church were essentially DC too.
hmm
Um, and I wasn't thinking Happy Halloween DC. The one show I did remember because I've pulled I've pulled something for a Wave Spell episode is that 2000 I think 2003 era DC show. But as I started going through all of the history that this band has in this city, it's kind of one of those, Chicago, Austin type cities,
Asheville. Yeah.
Asheville, yeah,
Yeah.
where there's no direct roots there, but there's something about when they go there that they just really show their ass in a certain way. And running through a lot of these shows, I would say that if you have the opportunity to make this show, don't let the fact that it's just one show discourage you. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of fucking bang for your buck in this one.
Well, yeah. I mean, you get Lotus as an opener, which
Yes.
is great. The last time people got a chance to see STS9 at Resonate, you're getting Lotus on that bill as well. But officially to be on one bill in one venue as Lotus opening up for STS9 is awesome. Do we know, is this a 2 set show? Is this going to be a 2 hour set?
That's a good question. I think
Either
me being
way, either
yeah, yeah,
way.
I think does Lotus do two sets these days or just one?
I don't think they would be doing 2 sets as the
Oh,
opener.
no. I know as the opener they wouldn't be doing two sets, but I could see
Yeah,
I
they
could
are
see
playing 2 sets. Yes.
they
Yeah,
are.
Lotus
Okay.
is.
I was gonna say I could see both bands getting Lotus getting a little more time and then STS9 doing kind of a playthrough like they've been doing.
Yeah.
But I would expect this to be a normal two-set show. I haven't heard anything to the otherwise.
Yeah, I mean doors are at 6:30, so you figure Lotus starts around 7:30, and then if they're able to play around start at the regular 9:15 ish, 9:17 typically is when they're going on stage. I would think we'll probably get 2 sets, but I'd be down for another 2 hour set barn burner as well.
Yep.
So a lot to be excited about. We're gonna get into later in the show, kind of our predictions around the show and some stuff that might go down, and some song predictions and everything like that. But let's get right into it. We've got a lot of clips to get here today from, as Scotty mentioned, what is a very rich history for this band in this city. And we're going to start in 2003. This is going to be one of the longer clips we played. This is going to be a very clip forward episode, and we think everyone's going to be all right with that based on our selection. So we'll start in 03 at the 930 Club.
Sounds like Jeffrey's doing that with his mouth.
To the subtler rhythms of life.
What he said.
Listen more closely to the subtler rhythms of life. Listen more closely to the subtle rhythms of life.
Water the plants.
That is some of STS9's best segue work there, ladies and gentlemen and thems. Man, you know how I feel about water songs, Scotty. How does this
Yeah.
one make you feel?
I texted you this morning bright and early and said if we're not doing anything, we're doing this one. But this show is just a fountain of happiness. While you've got it up there, I'll go ahead and read it. Set list is STS9, Mischief of a Sleepwalker, Today, Life Sweet Breath, Into the Water Song, fuck,
Yeah.
Into the Water Song, Into Grow. It was set to Mobsters and Summer Angels, Dance, Once Told, Movement, What Is Love, Encore, another dub jam, which I played here about a month or so ago, and Luma Daylight. Just whoa.
A standalone Mobsters second set opener, bro. Really fun stuff. There's another standalone track in these series of clips that we're sharing from one of the other shows that's really cool too. But just one of those set lists where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's a winner.
And then as far as this water song grow, man, I mean, just it's funny because it feels like I mean it's like a jazz ensemble underwater. Like that's truly what it feels like. If you didn't know what any of these songs were called, I mean, nail on the head. It's vibey, it's sexy. Murph's tone is unbelievably rich. Yeah, man, I this is my favorite thing I listen to all day.
The atmospheric sounds on that beginning of that water song drum and bass breakdown are something else. Jeffrey going absolutely ham on the hand sonic for some of that stuff. Like you said, it sounded like
Yeah, it sounded exactly. It sounded like he was doing it with his mouth. Exactly. The fucking Pharrell Snoop Dogg beat.
Yeah. And like into a very aquatic grow for sure.
Right.
I think you're you're right on the money with that. So like
Yeah,
that section alone,
you could call it the hydroponic grow.
there we go. And you better take a big deep breath before then. The life sweet breath. Then we're going to water song, and then we're gonna grow. A plus segment here.
Do you know who's talking in that sample?
I don't know who that sample is from. But
I tried to find it as we were listening to it, and it said there's plenty of people that basically kind of echo the sentiment, Eckhart Tolle, Ram Dass, but the only direct quote that I can find on the internet, it attributes to STS9 saying it. So if
okay.
anyone
Maybe some
yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. If
some
anyone has
original
more,
sample work. Yeah.
maybe so. It'd be cool to find the root of that. If anybody knows that, let us know.
Listen more carefully to the subtle rhythms of life. I love that, and firing them off in the beginning of that grow just completes that segue.
Yeah.
So we're gonna stay in the mid 2000s for a little bit here because these 930 club shows just do not quit, and actually spend most of our time today in the Murph era. I think everyone's gonna be all right with that. I think we lean a little bit heavily towards the Alana era, but there's just so much to get into here. So we're going to fast forward to 2005, back at the 930 Club here. Oh, yeah, baby. ladies and gentlemen, the first proper OG evasive Kamwai played on Pop Popular. And you talk about proper. For anyone that has gotten this far without going back to listen to one of these old school drum breakdowns back into the mix of evasive and Kamwai, bless your soul. This is one of the best, right here. Good
Yeah,
God.
you must really enjoy the sound of our voice because I'd have cut this thing off and gone to one of these shows a long time ago. Um, man, this that wow 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 wow.
Yeah.
That always makes me think of Live as Time Changes. I
Yes.
can close my eyes and I can see where the band is on stage and exactly what's going on in my head. I can't believe this is the first evasive Kamui evasive Kamui. Sorry, that we've ever played. Such a staple in the first like from what like '07
All
back.
the way through '07. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
And Come Why, it's no wonder why that's the most played song. I mean, that is just it's just so fun. I never get tired of it. It's always good. There's literally hundreds of great versions of that song.
Yeah. There's something special about when it's that true, just like complete mix of evasive and Kamwai when it comes back, and like you're getting more like the
Mhm.
like into the Kamwai, the full Kamwai, like spaceship landing, so to speak. Um, but yeah, I mean those OG breakdowns are just something else. Like you said, just the whack attack, attack, attack. If they ever did that again, it, it'd be something else. I know would they do a lot of the evasive into Kamwai, but like, and they've done a lot of other cool stuff since, and I think it's evolved to be something better. But going back and listening to these is special for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, this was a fantastic show as well. So again, this was uh, October 13th, 2005, the 9:30 Club. Luma Daylight into Tokyo, By the Morning Sun, Hubble, Something, Nautilus, Once Told, first set. Set two, instantly into Evasive Kamwai. Dude, dog, does it a 3-song segment, does it get crazier than that? Mischief of a Sleepwalker, B Pulse, Really What, Tap In, Encore, Reality Eve. Um, yeah, I continues along the long list of smoking fucking shows in this city from at
They
this particular venue from this band.
they love this city, guys.
Yes.
Go if you don't have tickets, go.
Yeah. All right. We're going 2 years later or 1 year later. Sorry. '06 9:30 Club for our next clip here. Another OG OG segue combination here. It works.
I love this year for Blue Mood.
Yeah.
It just that and they brought they this Arigato Blue Mood actually came back in the early era of Alana.
Yeah, I want to say like 2017-ish.
No,
Started to
no, it's
was it
earlier than
sooner than
that.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was in that first 2014 tour. I want to say New York, Philly, that area of the first time they were up there.
Because they
It,
started to bring that part of Arigato back, like the
yeah, that part.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they did it a few times, like into Call Jam or into some other songs,
Yeah.
or they just kind of finish an Arigato like that. But like, yeah, to see them go back to these late 2000s, '06 in particular, where they're really hitting a lot of these Arigato into blue moods. Um, Really cool to see them call back to it. Like you said, early in the Alana era, and we haven't gotten one in a while, I don't think.
Right.
But man, block shaking Arigato breakdown
Mhm.
into some pretty incredible Hunter Brown work on this Blue Mood. Nailing every single fucking note, of course.
Yeah.
This show in particular, again, uh, September 22nd, 2006, back at the 930 Club. Big Little Scenario opener, Grow, Music Us, F Word, Gob Nugget, reemergence into Open E. That's the first set.
Whoa.
Set two, aimlessly.
Wait. Reemergence into Open E.
Yeah, it was a close second on a clip from this show for me. Aimlessly, Moonsocket, Kamwai, Pianoir, and Summer Angels, Arigato and a Blue Mood, Encore, Tokyo, proper. Again, I mean, like, you see a lot of these songs kind of popping up quite a bit in the callbacks, but a lot of these are super fresh in terms of the songs that they played, very true to their era in this city, right?
Yeah.
So really, really banging show from '06 here. We're staying at the 930 Club. Last clip from the
Have
930
you
Club today.
not to harp on a venue that the band's not going to be at this week? But have you ever been in the 930 Club?
No, I've heard so many
Haven't
awesome
either.
things though. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's very high on my list.
Yes, hopefully it returns someday, but I think the anthem's gonna be badass. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to 08 here. So
Yeah. Damn. Abraham Lincoln approves.
you would have loved this song. Good God.
So one of my favorite like subgenres of music that I never hear it talked about. I don't feel like it really gets its proper respect. Is that like 80s West Coast, like Zapp and Roger, Egyptian Lover, Lakeside, who sings Fantastic Voyage, like that, like talk box, real funky 808 heavy type music, like the soundtrack of Snowfall, basically. Um, and you don't see too many bands pull from that kind of style, and New for You is one of those songs that I mean, it is very much cut from that cloth of that electro boogie funky type style, and it doesn't really sound like any other STS9 song.
No.
That's one of the most unique songs I've ever heard from anyone, STS9 or otherwise.
Right, but I think you put it in a category that I hadn't thought of before, and that's really cool. I'd not really drawn that. I've always just kind of been sitting there like Abraham Lincoln is in his chair.
Yeah.
Go back to this. I mean, yeah, I mean that's my face while I'm listening to this. Word up. No, Abe Lincoln would have loved STS9 for sure. But I mean this show, dude. Yeah, again, this is November 15th, 2008. To wrap up our 930 club clips here. This Us opener proper. F Word, Empires, The New Soma, Oh Little Brain, Peace Blaster, 68 and 08, High Key. So very, very Peace Blaster heavy show across the board here. Obviously, it being 2008, that makes sense. A Shock Doctrine opener, Tooth, a standalone Eve. That is what I was talking about earlier. This one, if you're going to go listen to anything else from this show, it's super unique. The Spectacle, another one off Peace Blaster, Blue Mood, EHM, New for You, and then ABC's Encore. That's 08, 2000. That's 2008 STS9 in a nutshell right here. But really, really, really cool stuff. Darky, dancier stuff. So let's get back into the Alana era. We'll go back to the Fillmore in Silver Springs for their 2016 show for our next clip. So fucking crisp.
forgot about that.
JFK would have loved key changes, dude. What?
JFK would have liked key changes.
He would have loved them, dude. He would have loved it. He wanted things to change, okay? We're changing keys. That's a callback to Barack Obama as well. We can be the change. We're changing keys. Good
Anyway,
God, dude.
wow.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that mischief.
Never forget the 2016 Mischief DC key change, man. I'm glad I could remind you. Goodness.
Yeah, I didn't get to that one in my research this weekend, and I remember for a few years after that one came out, that was a big go-to for me, and it just kind of faded into the wonderful obscurity that the embarrassment of riches that we always talk about. That's
Yeah.
one of the most fun things about doing this podcast is we almost schedule reminders for ourselves to remind us about all this amazing stuff to share with you guys. What an absolute monster of a clip.
Yeah, this was a really good show, man. This was in the 2016 fall tour that got a lot of hate because of the saturation of TUI, but now I think we know we're over that. But when the dust, again, the date on this show, November 10th, 2016, again, the Fillmore in Silver Springs. When the Dust Settles reprise, opener, Move My Peeps, Into Orbital. Man, For Your Puma, Golden Gate, Breathe In, Sun, Moon, and Stars, into Love Don't Terrorize. That's a very cool segue. And set one, set two, 12 plus minute Wicca, 12 plus minute Shock Doctrine. And then this whole segment, which starts with the New Dawn, New Day, into Mischief, into STS9, is some of the best stuff that came out of this tour for sure. That 3-song segment there. And then a Get Loud, The Rabble, Universe Inside, into From Now On, Encore. There's a Scotty Fuller encore right there.
Yeah. Man.
Really good shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is as good as it gets when it comes to what they can offer a city.
Yeah.
What a fun deep dive into secretly one of the best places to see this band so far.
Yep. We got one more clip. We're going to your favorite year. We're going to Falls Church for this one.
are?
Yeah. Hold for a pause. Good fucking God, dude.
Dude, not to beat a dead horse, dude, but you will not find anything like that in any other year from this band.
No, that's
Um,
it. That is it. That is Axe the Cables Wave Spell, baby.
mhm,
That's it. That's the only recording we really have of that.
mhm. Technically,
Dude,
technically a sound check, but the era that we were in, that's a wave spell
bro,
song.
again, a reminder, these Apollo Tour sound checks are some of the biggest reasons to have a Bandcamp subscription. All of them are just so fucking different, and we get three of them from this weekend, which again is the last time the band was in the DMV area. This was the first night, September 26, 2019. Sound check for the Axe the Cable show, a two set act show, which have been extremely rare over the band's entire history, right?
Only like 5 or 6,
Um,
right?
yeah, and like, bro, I mean, like the Phipps and Hunter conversation, Alana carrying the tempo at some points on the upright. Um, the Dark Star tease at the end by Phipps early on. We played half of this. We played
Mm-hmm.
the second half. The first half is littered with HB Dark Star teases too. Um, yeah, this is really unique. When I think of DC area STS9, this is one of the first things I think of.
Yeah, and it's not to pit women against women, but the it really, after doing so much Murph and then getting into something like that, um I know there are people out there that enjoy that era a little bit better, man. This is just my sound. It just the energy, just the Hunter's tone,
The
the way that
playfulness.
the playfulness, the way that Jeffrey is mixed into all this.
Mm,
This I think this is, this is why I'm still here. I love this era of STS9 more than anything. And
2019, baby. Yep.
well, from 2019 on,
Yeah.
2019 up to this point. It just this is I it just speaks to how cool of a band this is, that to say something like this, but this is when it all really starts coming together again, and into what I think we now know as 3.0. Yeah, it's just such a fun time, and an era, like you said, that doesn't really get discussed in the grand scheme of things. This Apollo tour, I never really hear anybody talk about the shows themselves, even though this Falls Church one is as good as anything you're gonna find. And then the sound checks, which are super super unique to this era.
Yeah, each
Yeah,
night from
yeah.
one from the other. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, really, really cool stuff. So, Scotty, let's get on to it. We got the band show playing tomorrow, Friday, June 13th. So, want to go over some just general predictions, but obviously we have to do our song predictions. You got your Peachtree at Resonate. So I'm calling it now, dude, for the rest of this year for our show song predictions for our Podpodger belt points. Nothing off Human Dream. Can we call that? Come on.
Okay.
There's easy points at this point.
Okay.
Let's
You
let's
could get these points too.
I don't want. I want to. I want to think about other show predictions. It's too easy. The fruit is hanging too low. Oh, by the way, I had something written down. George Washington would have loved Axe the Cables. Um, but let's get on to it. That's why they built a monument of him. Are you fucking kidding? Um, Show predictions from us, 3 songs each. So, with your point at Resonate, we actually still have to put out the vote for last week's Wave Swap episode. We're unclear on who got the point there, but you're up 12-7 after the Resonate total. For first pick at songs, we'll do the Zen Can Flip, Coolman 6, and Tails. Call it in the air.
Coleman 6, sorry.
Tails.
All
All
right,
right.
you go first.
Shock Doctrine.
Okay. Okay. So you said Falls Church was the last time that they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 28. Let's go. Monkey music.
Monkey music. All right.
Yeah,
I'm going EHM.
I like that. How about a low swagger?
Oh, swagger. Like it. All right. And this doesn't count. I just look at the points. I think it's going to be a EHM into F word or
Okay.
F word into EHM.
Okay.
Fuck the economic hitman to kind of
Oh yeah, man,
get
I didn't even think
political
about
with
that.
it.
Okay,
Yeah. So
cool.
F word. I got shock doctrine, EHM, F word. You have monkey music, La Swaga, and your third.
Um,
I swear to God, if you say portal to the starry path, I'm gonna kill you.
no, man, you got me thinking all political now.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
To give you the, I don't think it'll be a scheme. We think they played scheme their last show.
Yeah. Let's go when the dust settles.
When the dust settles. All right. Good stuff. So I got shock doctrine, EHM, F word, extra points if they do F word into EHM.
Sure.
Monkey music, La Swaga, when the dust settles. Love it. Love it.
Cool.
Let's talk about what else we think we're gonna see this week. And obviously the live premiere of Portal to the Starry Path. Do we think they open with it? What do you think?
Hmm. Um, this song feels like it belongs in a seg. Um, uh, we
Okay.
we talked about a few last week that it could sound good with. Maybe they stand alone it for the first time. But I think pretty quickly by the at, at minimum maybe third time they play this song, you're gonna hear it out of a meta meme or a reemergence or a native end or something kind of that high low that old new combo. Maybe a standalone this weekend, but just for the sake of a prediction, I think the first time they play it, it's going to be out of something else.
Surprised you didn't think of going with a squish face. That would be very
Huh?
fitting. Yeah.
Sure.
hmm But I think overall, I think we're gonna get a call back to my Inspire, bring it back from a few weeks ago, where I'd like to see the band be a little bit more political in this current social climate that we have going on with a
Sure.
lot of scary shit going on, and they've been a little bit not as vocal as they typically have been. So I think this is where they come out of their shell and they get super political. Um, I would think maybe there's a peoples mixed in there, something to do with that. But
What is love?
yeah,
Maybe
what is love? With yeah, love don't terrorize. It'd be a
love
cool
don't
to bring that.
terrorize would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Um, I mean, they have a lot of opportunities to get into that. A March would be good,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we
Sure.
saw March 3 or 4 shows ago. But who's to say they won't go back to it? But um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the table here. I could see a Tim Palmieri sit in for STS9 for
Huh.
let's see. I'm trying to think of what would be a good Tim song. Something super shreddy. Maybe maybe a cover. Maybe we hit a Black Dance with Tim. But honestly, I wouldn't bet on a STS or Lotus sit in with Lotus member sit in with STS9. I'd more bet on maybe an Alana sit in with Lotus would be really
Okay.
fucking cool.
It
Yeah.
it'd be really sweet. I mean, the last time we saw, we saw Lettuce open up for them, a band that
Mhm.
SGS9 could just as easily open up for Lettuce. These two bands are very much cut from the same cloth and of kind of that same level of greatness. Um, so based on that, maybe that is something they're trying to do more of.
Yeah.
I hope it is. I think kind of that Lotus STS9 crossover, at least when I started following this band, was something that a lot of people talked about as kind of a dream situation. Be really really cool to see them pull it off in DC this weekend while they're both there.
Yeah. And I don't think it's the expectation of
No,
anybody,
not
but
at
the
all.
opportunity is
It would just
there.
be
So it's
cool.
yeah, it's cool to talk about the idea of it for sure. And it could be pulled off, I think. So,
Hmm.
well, that's it. Safe travels, everybody. Maybe you're listening to this on your way. Maybe you're listening to the day of. If so, happy STS 9 day. It's gonna be great. We're rounding things out with the Inspire Bring It Back, and it's Scotty's turn.
Yeah. Um, so I was actually making a playlist for Pod Podular the other day, trying to put together as many of the songs that we have shared with you guys over the last 33 episodes on a playlist as possible. Maybe get that officially released after we finish up the first season. And I stumbled across that I think it was the California episode that we did, the California preview, where we played that piano track from Phipps, where it's
Hmm.
just Phipps on stage, everyone else leaves. It's kind of right before set break. Um, and we've been talking about also maybe, it'd be cool to see them maybe segue to those 2.5 hour sets consistently. Whether it's kind of a right at set break situation or maybe a cool way to get some downtime during those longer sets, I would really like to see us come back to Phipps on a piano with nothing else happening around him at an STS9 show.
Hmm.
Anyone that's ever seen those Phipps solo sets knows how special they are. Not just the modular sets, but the piano proper sets. They're just so beautiful. It's such a cool way to hear, whether it's STS9 songs or just original little pieces that he writes in the comfort of his own home. But those just they hit that sonic palette in such a way, where I would just like to see that happen more. No matter what the occasion, I think it'd be really, really sweet. Even if it's just bringing back those piano shows that he used to do, but I would really like to see it happen in conjunction with an STS9 show. Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking for my Inspire bringing back this week.
I like it. I think that opportunity that presents itself with the 2 hour sets, right, with the little interludes. I think of that maybe like you give him a solo, so it goes, or Glenn tells Ken go while the rest of the
Yeah.
band goes and ties their shoes or whatever they need to do, um, and catches their breath and lets us catch their breath a little bit. So I love that. Get the rest of the band off stage for a few minutes and let Phipps do his thing and kind of hit a vibe reset. I think, yeah, with those 2 hour extended sets, I think there's an even bigger opportunity for that. So
Yeah, and it's
great
it's
point.
something
Love to see
like
it.
you see everybody do the drums where everybody
Mhm.
leaves except for the drummer. Our drummer needs a break. Not that Phipps doesn't, especially
Yeah,
this year.
right.
But if anyone would kind of stay, I think from our camp would stay on stage and hold the vibe. I think it's Phipps. I don't think it's Zach. Give Zach a break and let Phipps vibe for a little bit.
I'm with that. I agree totally. Well, that's it, guys. We'll be back next weekend, or next week rather, with a review of this show. We're gonna have a guest, a recurring guest, who's gonna have boots on the ground help us break down these shows. Mr. B Pearl will be in attendance next week
Cool.
to help give us a review of this show, and I think
Perfect.
that'll be kind of a trend that we'll look to use moving forward. Is try to get someone who was at the show on our show wrap up episodes here. So, but thanks for watching and listening, guys. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, throw us a like, a subscribe, a review if you're feeling nice. And appreciate you guys. Safe travels. Enjoy yourselves in DC. Much love.